The check hit the glass like a slap, 6 cold zeros staring back at her, sharp as teeth. Priscilla's hands wouldn't stop shaking. The paper blurred. The penthouse felt smaller now, all that steel and leather suddenly pressing in on her ribs. She'd rehearsed this moment for days. Imagined his face softening. Maybe even relief. Maybe joy. Instead, Lee Min-ho stood with his back to her, staring out at the city like it owed him something. His silence cut deeper than anything he could have said. This solves it. His voice was flat. Empty. The same tone he used when firing people. Covers the procedure. Relocation. Enough to disappear somewhere far from here. Priscilla pressed her palm to her stomach. Still flat. Still quiet. But holding 3 lives she didn't even know about yet. "I thought you'd want to know," she whispered. "After everything we talked about. All those nights you said you were tired of pretending. That maybe this could be. You thought wrong." He turned. And the man looking back at her wasn't the one who'd traced her jawline in the dark and whispered about running away. This was the heir. The son groomed since childhood to value legacy over people. Profit over love. "I have responsibilities, Priscilla. My father's dying. The merger with Ashford depends on my engagement to Vivian. The board expects." "Scandal," she interrupted. The word tasted like poison. "That's what I am. That's what this is. Don't make it emotional. You told me you loved me." The lie hung between them, so obvious she almost laughed. 2 weeks ago, she continued, her voice cracking. "In that hotel room, you said you couldn't imagine. I said what you needed to hear." His words were surgical, precise. "You're beautiful. You made me feel alive for a while. But this was never going to end any other way. I'm marrying Vivian in 6 months. The contracts are signed. This child complicates everything. Asterisk this child. Asterisk Priscilla stood, legs barely holding her. You keep saying that like it's a problem to be managed. There's a heartbeat inside me, Min-ho. There's life. There's a complication." He picked up the check, holding it out like a business transaction. "Take it before this becomes something neither of us can handle. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't throw it away on a mistake." The cruelty finally sank in. This man she'd loved, she'd never actually known him at all. "I'm not doing this for you." She left the check on the table. "Whatever happens next, it's my choice. My life." Something flickered in his eyes. Almost regret. Then the mask slid back. "You have 2 days to reconsider. After that, my lawyers will contact you with a formal agreement. Take the help, Priscilla. Don't make this harder." "The only thing hard here," she said, grabbing her purse, "is understanding how I ever thought you were capable of loving anyone. Get out." His voice went cold. "Before I call security." She walked to the elevator on legs that didn't feel like hers anymore. The doors closed on his silhouette, still standing at that window, still choosing the city over her. The lobby was empty. Just the night guard who nodded politely, unaware her entire world had just collapsed 40 stories above his head. Outside, rain started falling in sheets. Priscilla walked for blocks, maybe miles, barely aware of direction. Her mind kept replaying every moment, every lie, every promise that had been calculated manipulation. The pregnancy test in her purse felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She stopped on a corner, rain plastering her hair to her face, mascara running. She pressed both hands against her stomach, feeling nothing yet, but knowing everything was different now. Min-ho had given her a choice, thinking he was being generous. But Priscilla had already made her choice the moment she saw those 2 pink lines. "We're going to survive this," she whispered to the life growing inside her. "I don't know how, but we will. And one day he's going to see what he threw away, and it will destroy him." The bus ride to her aunt's house took 8 hours, each mile putting distance between her and the life that had imploded. Priscilla pressed her forehead against the window, watching towns blur past, feeling like she was shedding a skin. Her phone buzzed repeatedly during the first hour. Min-ho's name flashing until she finally turned it off and dropped it into a trash can at a rest stop. Aunt May's house looked exactly like she remembered. Small cottage 3 blocks from the ocean. Weathered blue paint, and a garden gone wild with herbs and flowers. May stood on the porch before Priscilla even knocked, like some instinct had warned her. "Child, get in here before you collapse."
Priscilla meant to explain.
To find words that made sense of the catastrophe. Instead, she crumbled, her body folding into her aunt's arms, sobs tearing through her chest like they'd split her open. May held her through it, humming soft sounds, the same sounds she'd made when Priscilla was small and her father left, and the world first taught her that men could abandon the people they claimed to love. The first doctor's appointment revealed the truth that would reshape everything. Priscilla lay on the examination table, gel cold on her stomach, watching the ultrasound screen with detached curiosity. The technician's face changed, expression shifting from routine to surprised. "Is something wrong?" Priscilla's voice came out small. "Wrong? No, honey. Everything's perfect." The technician turned the screen. "You're having triplets. 3 healthy babies, all developing beautifully." Priscilla stared at the screen, unable to process what she was seeing. 3 lives. 3 futures. 3 souls Minho had wanted her to erase with a check and a cold command. Of course her body would do something extraordinary. Of course nothing about this would be simple. "Are you okay?" the technician asked gently. "I know triplets can be overwhelming." "I'm okay," Priscilla heard herself say. "I'm going to be okay." The pregnancy was brutal. Her body stretched and ached. Exhaustion settled into her bones like permanent weight. Morning sickness lasted all day, every day for months. May worked double shifts at the hospital, coming home exhausted but always ready to help Priscilla through another crisis, another panic attack, another moment when the impossibility of everything threatened to drown her. Priscilla enrolled in online classes for software programming, determined to build skills that could support her family. Late at night, when the babies kicked and rolled inside her, she worked on assignments, teaching herself languages and frameworks, building a portfolio from nothing. The work gave her purpose beyond survival, reminded her she was still capable of creating something beautiful even in the midst of chaos. She talked to them constantly, told them stories about the ocean and her grandmother, who taught her that strength wasn't something you found, but something you decided to be. She never mentioned their father, as if silence could erase him from their story. The labor came early. 7 months. Priscilla was terrified as they rushed her to the hospital, May holding her hand, talking her through contractions that felt like her body was tearing itself apart. Then the first cry pierced through everything. Sharp and indignant and perfect. Then the second. Softer, but just as insistent. Then the third. A wail that sounded like fury at being forced into the cold world. They placed 3 tiny humans on Priscilla's chest. Warm and wet and impossibly real. "What are their names?" a nurse asked. Priscilla looked down at 3 perfect faces. 3 lives she had chosen. Chloe. She touched the first baby's dark curls. Lily. She whispered to the quiet one with serious eyes. Anthony. She smiled at the smallest, who was still crying like he had opinions about this whole situation. The first year passed in a blur of sleepless nights and constant needs. Chloe was demanding and loud. Lily was watchful and calm, almost eerily self-sufficient. Anthony was sensitive and clingy, needing constant reassurance. Priscilla learned to function on fragments of sleep, to feed 3 babies while barely conscious, to somehow keep everyone alive when she felt like she was dying herself. May became her lifeline, teaching her how to manage chaos, how to find moments of joy in the exhaustion. Priscilla's programming work grew slowly, word of mouth bringing clients, her skills improving as she found her voice, her style, her unique perspective shaped by struggle. By their 3rd birthday, the triplets had become whole people with distinct personalities. Chloe was fierce and protective, always stepping between her siblings and anything that frightened them. Lily was quiet and observant, seeing things other children missed. Her drawings already showing talent that seemed to come from nowhere. Anthony was gentle and emotional, crying at sad stories, collecting treasures from the beach, giving hugs that felt like he wanted to merge souls. Priscilla had built a life from destruction, had survived what should have destroyed her. She rarely thought about Minho anymore. The anger had cooled into something else. Not forgiveness, but absence. Then the email arrived. An invitation to a major tech conference in the city. She had fled. An opportunity that could transform her small business into something real and sustainable. Priscilla stared at the screen, cursor hovering over the delete button, knowing that going back meant facing ghosts. But she had 3 children who deserved more than survival, who deserved a mother chasing dreams instead of hiding from the past. She hit accept, heart pounding with fear and determination. The city had transformed in 3 years. Or perhaps Priscilla was the one who had transformed. She left the triplets with May, her first separation from them since birth. The absence felt like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. The conference was overwhelming. Hundreds of developers competing for attention. Everyone glossy and confident in ways that made Priscilla feel like an imposter. But she pushed through, forced herself to network,
To pitch.
to pretend she belonged. By the second day, she'd found her rhythm, discovered that her work spoke for itself. Jasmine Park appeared like an answered prayer. A startup founder from Seattle who stopped at Priscilla's portfolio display and actually looked, really studied each project. "I need a lead developer," Jasmine said, pulling out her phone. "Someone who understands building from nothing. Someone with perspective most privileged coders never access."
Can you do that?
Priscilla's heart raced. "I can do that." They talked for hours. By the time they parted, Priscilla had a contract that would pay more than she'd earned in the entire previous year. Walking back to her hotel that evening, Priscilla felt something shift inside her. A recognition that she hadn't just survived, but was beginning to thrive. The street was crowded with people heading to restaurants and bars. She was so lost in thought that she didn't notice the commotion ahead until she was almost through it. Cameras flashed. Security guards created a perimeter. Then she heard his voice. That familiar cadence that still occasionally haunted her dreams. Lee Min-ho stood outside an upscale restaurant, surrounded by men in expensive suits, celebrating something that probably involved millions of dollars. He looked older, harder, gray touching his hair in ways that made him more distinguished instead of aging him. She should have kept walking, should have disappeared into the crowd. But something made her freeze. Their eyes met across 20 feet of crowded sidewalk. Min-ho's face drained of color. His hand gripped the door frame for balance. His mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Before he could speak, before he could shatter the peace she'd worked so hard to build, Priscilla turned and walked away. She didn't run, refused to give him that satisfaction. Just moved with deliberate purpose, her spine straight despite the panic flooding her system. 1 block, then another. She turned a corner and collapsed against a building, gasping for air like she'd been drowning. The conference ended the next day. Priscilla fled back to her aunt's house like a refugee escaping war. The triplets mobbed her the moment she walked through the door, their voices overlapping in demands for attention. Priscilla held them all at once, breathing in their familiar smell, feeling her heart settle back into its proper rhythm. "How was it?" May asked later, after the children were asleep. "Good. Really good." Priscilla pulled out the contract. "I saw him though. Min-ho. Just for a second." May's expression tightened. "Did he approach you?"
No.
"I walked away before he could." Priscilla stared at the contract. "I thought I was over it. I thought I'd moved past all that anger. But seeing him brought it all back like it happened yesterday." "Healing isn't linear, baby." May squeezed her hand. "Sometimes old wounds reopen just to remind us they existed." 2 weeks later, standing in the park while the triplets played on the swings, Priscilla felt eyes on her back with such intensity her skin prickled. She turned slowly, already knowing what she would see. Min-ho stood by the playground entrance, staring at Chloe and Lily and Anthony with an expression she couldn't decipher. He had found her somehow, had tracked her down, had invaded the safe space she'd built far from his reach. The children were laughing, completely oblivious to the man watching them. Chloe's hair caught the afternoon sun, dark curls bouncing as she pumped her legs on the swing. Lily sat in the sand, drawing patterns with a stick. Anthony ran between them, his joy infectious. Priscilla watched Minho watching them, saw him do the math, count backwards to that night in the penthouse. His face was a study in devastation, understanding what he'd lost, what he'd thrown away. Chloe noticed her mother's sudden stillness and ran over, small hand gripping Priscilla's leg, dark eyes suspicious. "Who's that man, Mama?" "Nobody." Priscilla's voice came out harder than she intended. "He's nobody important." Minho took a step forward, mouth opening. "Don't." The words stopped him cold. "Don't you dare come near them. Don't you dare think you have any right to look at them, to know them, to exist in their world. You made your choice 3 years ago. Live with it." She grabbed Chloe's hand, called to Lily and Anthony, and walked away from the park. From Minho, from the confrontation she wasn't ready to have. Behind her, she could feel his presence, could sense the beginning of something she'd feared since the moment she chose to keep them. Lee Minho had seen his children, and that changed everything. Minho sat in his office long after everyone else had gone home, the city lights below him blurring through tears he refused to acknowledge. The photographs spread across his desk shouldn't exist, but he needed to know. 3 children, triplets, 2 girls and a boy. Their faces a perfect blend of Priscilla's beauty and his own features. Chloe with his mother's determined chin, Lily with his brother's artistic intensity, Anthony with a gentle smile Minho had lost somewhere between childhood and corporate warfare. The private investigator's report was thorough, clinical in its detail. Priscilla Estella, living with her aunt in a coastal town, running a small tech consulting business, raising 3 children alone on an income that barely covered necessities. No child support, no father listed on the birth certificates. His marriage to Vivian had been exactly what was promised, a merger wrapped in the pretense of romance. They maintained separate bedrooms, separate lives, coming together only for public appearances. They had no children, would never have children, an agreement made before the wedding that Minho had accepted with relief. Except now he knew that 3 children existed in the world. His children, growing up without him, and the emptiness he'd always attributed to success suddenly had a name. The guilt was suffocating, not just for what he did to Priscilla, but for what he'd stolen from himself. 3 years of birthdays and first words and milestones he could never recover. His father would have told him to forget it, to protect the family name from scandal. But his father's opinion had been losing power over Minho's decisions for months now, ever since he realized that chasing legacy had cost him everything authentic in his life. Minho drove to the coastal town without a plan, telling himself he just wanted to see where they lived. Priscilla's rental house was small and weathered, a bicycle with training wheels on the porch, children's drawings taped to the windows. Minho watched from his car as Priscilla herded the triplets into a van, their voices loud and chaotic, her face tired but content in ways he'd never achieved. She looked different, stronger, more herself than she'd been during their relationship. He followed them to the park, staying at a distance, watching the children play with an intensity that probably looked disturbing. Chloe was fearless on the swings. Lily sat apart, focused on her sand drawings. Anthony bounced between his sisters, needing connection. When Priscilla's eyes met his across the playground, Minho felt the full weight of his choices crash down. The hatred in her face was pure and justified, and underneath it was fear, terror that he was there to take something else from her. Minho wanted to explain that he just wanted to know them, to be part of their lives. But her command to stay away was absolute. He stood there after they left, frozen in the spot where he'd first seen his children up close, understanding that DNA didn't grant rights, that biology didn't erase abandonment. But Minho was his father's son in the worst ways, trained to fight for what he wanted, regardless of whether he deserved it. The voice telling him to walk away, to leave them in peace, was drowned out by possessiveness and entitlement. He called the lawyer back, asked about his options,
His rights.
She warned him about optics, about judges who favored primary caregivers. Minho listened but didn't hear, already planning his approach. That night, lying in his separate bedroom while Vivian slept in hers, Minho made a decision that would shatter multiple lives. He would win his children back, would prove he could be a father. The fact that this was about filling the void in his own life rather than serving their needs never occurred to him. Or if it did, he pushed the thought away as inconvenient truth. Minho began appearing everywhere Priscilla went. At the grocery store, offering to reach items on high shelves. At the beach, building sandcastles near where Anthony played. This is harassment. Priscilla confronted him after the third incident. You're stalking us. Leave us alone or I'll call the police. I'm in a public place. His response was calm, practiced. I'm not threatening you. I'm not approaching the children without permission. I'm just existing in the same town.
Why?
Priscilla demanded. Why now? Why show up after 3 years and think you have any right to disrupt our lives? Minho's face cracked, genuine emotion breaking through. Because I made the worst mistake of my life. Because I see them and I see everything I threw away. Because I want to know my children, Priscilla. I want a chance to be their father. You're not their father. The words came out vicious. You're a sperm donor who tried to pay me to abort them. Biology doesn't make you a parent. I know that. Minho's hands clenched. I know I have no rights here, but I'm asking for grace. I'm asking for a chance to prove I'm different. You don't get to decide when you're ready to be a father. You don't get to discard them when they're inconvenient and then claim them when you're having some crisis about meaning. It's not about legacy. Minho stepped closer. It's about them. About seeing Chloe's determination, Lily's talent, Anthony's kindness, and knowing I helped create something beautiful and I walked away from it. Let me prove I can be what they need. The sincerity in his voice was almost convincing. But Priscilla had survived by trusting her instincts.
No.
She gathered Chloe and Lily, called for Anthony. Stay away from us. Go back to your wife, your company, your perfect life. We don't need you. But he kept coming back, kept showing up, kept pushing against her boundaries with relentless determination. May watched this campaign with troubled eyes. He's trying, Priscilla. I'm not saying forgive him, but maybe let him prove himself before you cut him off completely. He'll leave again. Priscilla's voice was flat. He'll realize how hard this actually is, and he'll go back to his empire. I'm protecting them from that disappointment. Or you're punishing him by using them as weapons. May's words were gentle but sharp. Those children deserve to know their father if he's genuinely trying to be present. Doubt started creeping in. Small questions about whether her protection was actually fear. The breaking point came suddenly. Lily spiked a fever that climbed so fast Priscilla barely had time to panic before they were rushing to the emergency room. Minho was there, had apparently been following them. He saw their frantic departure and followed. Priscilla wanted to tell him to leave, but Lily was being rushed inside, and Chloe and Anthony were dissolving into panic, and she couldn't manage everything at once. Let me help. Minho's voice was steady. Let me take care of them while you focus on Lily. For 6 hours, Minho sat in the waiting room with Chloe and Anthony, reading them stories from books he bought in the gift shop, distracting them with games and snacks. Priscilla checked on them between updates from doctors, seeing her children curled against this stranger, accepting his comfort with the easy trust of children who didn't know about betrayal. When the doctors finally stabilized Lily and released her with antibiotics, Priscilla found Chloe and Anthony asleep in Minho's arms, his expensive suit covered in chocolate stains and tears. Thank you. The words cost her something. Minho looked up at her, careful not to wake the sleeping children. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes. Priscilla was too tired to fight, so she sat down, keeping distance between them. I was wrong. Minho's voice was rough. About everything. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to believe I've changed. But I'm asking for a chance to prove it. Why should I believe you won't leave again? Because I have nothing else. Minho's confession was devastating in its simplicity. My marriage is a business arrangement. My career feels empty. My entire life is a performance. Those children are the only real thing I've ever created. And I threw them away because I was too much of a coward to choose authenticity over expectation.
Priscilla looked at him.
Really looked, and saw something she hadn't expected. Genuine regret. But underneath it was transformation. She thought about her children sleeping in his arms. About how Anthony had stopped crying when Minho told him stories. Supervised visits. The words came out before she fully decided. Twice a week at my house with me present. You follow my rules completely. You don't make promises you can't keep. You don't bring expensive gifts. You just show up and be present. And we'll see if you can actually do this. Minho's face transformed. I won't let you down. You already have. Priscilla's voice was hard. This is about them, not you. The moment you prove me right about you being temporary, you're gone forever. Understand? I understand. Minho's first official visit was excruciating for everyone involved. The triplets treating him like a dangerous intruder. Priscilla hovering like a hawk. Minho fumbling through every interaction with painful awkwardness. He arrived exactly on time with nothing but himself. Sat on the floor where she directed him. Waited for the children to decide if he was worth their attention. Chloe approached first, standing directly in front of him with her hands on her hips. Mama says you want to know us. Why didn't you want to know us before? The question was brutal in its simplicity. I made a terrible mistake, Minho said. I was scared of being a father because I thought I wouldn't be good at it. I was wrong to let fear make my decisions. Are you still scared? Terrified. Minho's honesty seemed to satisfy her. But I'm trying anyway. Lily ignored him completely, sitting in her corner with her drawing supplies. Anthony was the one who broke the standoff. Climbing into Minho's lap after 20 minutes, with easy affection. Do you want to see my dinosaurs? They have names and stories, and everything. Minho felt something crack open in his chest as Anthony settled against him. Small and warm and trusting in ways Minho didn't deserve. The visits became routine over the following months. Minho showing up exactly when promised. Never pushing for more than Priscilla allowed. Slowly earning microscopic increments of trust. He learned that Chloe needed logical explanations and firm boundaries. That Lily responded to art supplies and quiet presence. That Anthony was eager for connection but sensitive enough to pick up on every tension. Minho made constant mistakes. Panicking when they cried. Not understanding why a broken cracker could cause a meltdown. But he kept coming back.
Kept trying.
Kept asking how to do better. Something unexpected was happening. Minho was changing in ways that seemed to terrify him. He started leaving work early. Missing meetings. Letting calls go to voicemail during visits. His father noticed and disapproved. You're throwing away everything I built for some children who aren't even raised properly. Maybe I don't want them in our world. Minho's response shocked them both. Maybe our world is poison. The relationship between father and son fractured that day. Vivian noticed the changes too. Their dead marriage becoming purely performative. I know about the children, she said coldly. I don't care, as long as you're discreet. I'm done being discreet, Minho said. I'm done pretending this marriage is anything but a contract. I'm done living a lie. You think you'll be happy in some small town pretending to be normal? Vivian's laugh was sharp. You'll hate it within a year. Maybe, Minho met her eyes. But at least it will be real. He filed for divorce, with terms so generous Vivian's lawyers couldn't believe their fortune. His father threatened to disown him, but Minho discovered he didn't care about threats anymore. Priscilla watched these upheavals with deep suspicion, certain this was temporary insanity. Then Vivian showed up at Priscilla's door, elegant and furious. I know what you're doing. Seducing my husband with your children. Playing on his guilt. It's pathetic, and it's going to stop. Tony made his own choices. Priscilla stood in her doorway. I never asked him to come back. I don't believe you. Women like you see men like him and see dollar signs. But let me be very clear. If you continue this arrangement, I will make your life a nightmare. Get off my property. Priscilla's voice was steady despite the rage shaking her bones. Whatever issues you have are with him, not me. When Minho arrived for his next visit, Priscilla met him outside. "This needs to stop. Your wife was here making threats. Your father probably hates us. Your whole world is falling apart because you suddenly decided you want to be a father. I can't do this. I can't be responsible for destroying your life." "You're not destroying anything." Minho's face was desperate. "I'm finally building something real. Let me prove it." "No." The word was final. "Go back to your wife. Work things out with your father. The children are getting attached, and when you inevitably leave, it will devastate them. I'm protecting them from that pain." "I'm not leaving." Minho's voice cracked. "I'm divorcing Vivian. I've stepped back from the company. I'm moving here permanently. I'm doing everything you said I wouldn't do." "You're having a breakdown." Priscilla's words were cruel but necessary. "You're going to regret this. You're going to wake up one day and resent me for letting you throw your life away. I won't do that to you or to my children. This was a mistake. We're done." She walked inside and closed the door. Minho refused to accept Priscilla's decision, showing up at her house every day despite explicit instructions to stay away. "You're harassing us." Priscilla finally confronted him. "Leave or I'm filing for a restraining order." "I'll fight you in court then." Minho's mask finally slipped. "I have rights. I'm their biological father. I can demand paternity tests, force custody arrangements, make your life hell through legal channels you can't afford to fight." There it is. Priscilla's laugh was bitter. The real Lee Minho, threatening to use his wealth and power because he's never learned how to accept losing. "This is why I said no. Because I knew the mask would fall eventually." Minho's face crumbled. "I didn't mean that. I'm just terrified of losing them. Please, I'll do anything." "You can't buy your way into our lives." Priscilla's voice was ice. "You can't threaten your way in either. We're done. Stay away from my children." She went inside and locked the door. The children sensed the shift immediately, asking where Mr. Minho was, why he didn't visit anymore, if they'd done something to make him leave. Chloe became aggressive at preschool. Lily stopped drawing for a week. Anthony cried every night. "You're hurting them to punish him," May said. "I watched him. I saw genuine change. You cut him off at the first sign of weakness instead of letting him prove he could recover from mistakes. He threatened to take them from me. You were protecting yourself." May's words were devastating. From the possibility that he might be real, that you might have to forgive him, that your anger has been the shield keeping you safe. Minho was destroying his life with methodical precision. The divorce from Vivian finalized with shocking speed. His father showed up with final ultimatums, but Minho told him to leave and never come back. He bought a small house 3 blocks from Priscilla's rental, sold most of his possessions, started a consulting business. His former colleagues whispered about his breakdown. His friends stopped calling. He prepared for a life he didn't know how to live, alone with his choices and his regrets. He saw them at the beach, at the grocery store, at the park, always careful to stay far enough away that she couldn't accuse him of harassment. His mother called. "Your father is wrong about this. He's been wrong about most things. I wish I'd been stronger when you were young. Do what you need to do, baby. Chase what's real." The months passed slowly. Minho existing in his small house, doing his consulting work, watching his children grow from a distance. He wrote letters to Chloe, Lily, and Anthony that he never sent. Apologies and explanations and love confessions that would sit in a drawer. Late one night, unable to sleep, Minho walked to the beach,
Sitting in the sand,
staring at an ocean that offered no answers. He was so lost in grief that he didn't notice Priscilla approaching until she was there, sitting beside him with enough distance that they weren't touching. "I'm leaving." Minho's voice was defeated. "Moving back to the city. Not because I'm giving up, but because staying here is hurting you. I've set up trust funds for all 3 children. I've signed papers giving you full custody. I've written them letters explaining everything, hoping they'll understand one day that my absence is love, not abandonment." Priscilla listened to this goodbye and felt something unexpected crack inside her chest. Not relief, but grief. "Why are you really leaving?" Because I love them too much to keep hurting them. Minho's confession was raw. Because every time Anthony cries for me, every time Chloe asks why I left, every time Lily's drawings get darker, I'm reminded that I'm causing damage just by existing in their orbit. You were right about me. I'm not capable of being what they need. Walking away is the only decent thing I can do.
Priscilla looked at him.
Really looked. Seeing exhaustion and devastation and genuine transformation carved into features that used to be arrogant and cold. She thought about her children asking for him, about how their joy had increased when he was present, about the difference between protecting them from disappointment and teaching them that people could change. Stay. The word came out before she fully decided. Not because I forgive you, not because I trust you, but because they need to know their father, and you're trying to be him. If you're serious about this, prove it. Not with grand gestures or sacrifices, but with consistency. Show up when it's boring, when it's hard, when there's no reward except their presence. Earn your place one day at a time. Minho's face transformed. I won't disappoint you again. You already have. Priscilla's voice was hard. The question is whether you'll keep disappointing or whether you'll actually become someone worthy of their love. Minho moved into the small house 3 blocks away. Proximity, both comfort and constant reminder of how fragile his second chance was. Priscilla's rules were brutal. Scheduled visits with rigid time limits. No spontaneous drop-ins. No gifts without permission. He accepted every condition without argument. The triplets' reaction to his return was complicated in ways that broke his heart. Chloe was suspicious and withholding, making him work for every smile. Lily was cautiously warming, testing whether he would stay this time. Anthony was immediately attached, crawling into Minho's lap like no time had passed. Minho showed up exactly when Priscilla said he could. Stayed exactly as long as permitted. Followed every rule with careful precision. He learned to navigate meltdowns without panicking. To cook meals they would actually eat. To set boundaries when they pushed instead of giving in to avoid conflict. He was terrible at first, bribing them with sugar when he should have been firm. Saying yes to everything because he was terrified of them hating him. But he learned from every failure. Asked questions without defensiveness. Accepted criticism as the price of admission. Priscilla watched this transformation with guarded hope, waiting for the moment when Minho would realize how hard parenting actually was and retreat. But months passed and he kept showing up. Kept trying. Kept choosing them even when visits were boring or exhausting or thankless. May became Minho's unexpected ally, teaching him recipes the children loved, explaining their personalities, giving him wisdom about patience and persistence that his own parents had never offered. The house 3 blocks away slowly transformed into a second home for the triplets, filled with their drawings and toys. Minho's pristine space becoming beautifully chaotic. Priscilla found herself softening incrementally, allowing longer visits, trusting him with solo time while she ran errands, seeing him as a partner rather than a threat. They developed a co-parenting relationship that was professional and distant, but functional. Both of them prioritizing the children's needs over their complicated feelings. Both of them careful not to acknowledge the attraction that occasionally flickered between them. Then Minho's father died suddenly. A massive heart attack. Minho asked Priscilla if he could take the children with him to the funeral, to meet their family, to understand where they came from. Priscilla's instinct was to refuse. But she saw genuine grief in his eyes mixed with desire to share something real with them. So she agreed to a weekend trip with strict conditions. The city felt different to Priscilla this time. Less threatening now that she'd built a life beyond it. Minho's family home was exactly what she expected. Massive and cold and full of expensive things that weren't meant to be touched. His mother was a revelation though. A woman who'd spent her life in her husband's shadow but emerged after his death with surprising warmth. She looked at the triplets with immediate love, her eyes filling with tears as she knelt to their level. "I've been waiting to meet you," she said softly. "I've been hoping my son would do the right thing. And here you are." She'd prepared rooms for them, filled with age-appropriate toys and books. Evidence she'd been planning for this moment. Priscilla watched this elegant woman embrace her children without hesitation or judgment, recognizing that not all of Minho's family was poison. The funeral was difficult. Minho facing family members who whispered about his divorce and his children. But his mother stood beside him with fierce pride, introduced the triplets as her grandchildren without qualification or apology. Priscilla saw Minho in the context of his family's damage and understood things she hadn't before. How his father's cruelty had shaped him. How his mother's weakness had failed to protect him. How he'd been trained from birth to value appearance over authenticity. The knowledge didn't erase his betrayal, but added context. On the last night, after the children were asleep, Minho and Priscilla sat in the library where he'd once offered her money to erase their existence. The symmetry wasn't lost on either of them. "My father died hating me." Minho's voice was hollow. His last words were about how I destroyed his legacy. "He died angry that I chose love over duty." "I'm sorry," Priscilla meant it. "I'm not." Minho's confession was quiet but certain. "His death released me from the last chain. I'm finally free to just be myself." "You've done well with them." The admission cost her something. "The children love you. Not as an idea, but because you show up. Because you're present. Because you're trying." "I'm trying to be what you taught me they needed." Minho met her eyes. "You're an incredible mother, Priscilla. You saved them when I tried to destroy them. Everything good in them comes from you." The moment stretched between them, loaded with things neither was ready to say. Minho leaned forward, his intention clear, giving Priscilla time to pull away. She should have retreated. Should have maintained her boundaries. Instead, she kissed him. Fierce and desperate and full of 3 years of rage and grief and unwanted longing. Minho responded with equal intensity, his hands in her hair, their bodies remembering what their minds had tried to forget. Priscilla pulled away first, gasping. This was a mistake. "I know." Minho's voice was rough. They sat in silence, both terrified of what had just happened, both knowing that crossing this line changed everything. The kiss became the earthquake neither acknowledged, but both felt constantly. Priscilla retreated immediately after returning home, imposing distance again, terrified that her body's memory of loving him would override her brain's memory of betrayal. Minho respected her space, but started writing letters. Old-fashioned handwritten pages that arrived daily. He wrote about therapy sessions where he was unpacking his father's damage. About realizing he'd been running from intimacy his entire life because vulnerability felt like weakness. About understanding that Priscilla and the children represented everything real he'd been conditioned to fear. Priscilla read these letters late at night after the triplets were asleep, recognizing vulnerability and authenticity she'd never seen in him before. Her walls began to crack incrementally. His mother became an unexpected presence in their lives, visiting monthly, showering the triplets with attention while respecting Priscilla's authority. She apologized repeatedly for not protecting Minho from his father. "I was weak when it mattered," she confessed. "I let my husband destroy our son's capacity for love because I was too afraid to stand up to him. I can't undo that damage. But I can try to be present for my grandchildren." Priscilla found herself warming to this woman who had every reason to reject them but instead embraced them with fierce devotion. Months passed with agonizing slowness. Each day another test of whether Minho would maintain his consistency. He showed up for every scheduled visit. Never missed a commitment. Never made excuses when things got difficult. He learned to braid Chloe's hair after weeks of YouTube tutorials. Figured out how to soothe Lily's anxiety without words. Became Anthony's safe place when the world felt too big and scary. Chloe started calling him Daddy 8 months after his return. Not because anyone pushed her, but because she decided he'd earned it. The first time she used the word, Minho's face crumbled, tears streaming down his cheeks. Lily created a family portrait that included everyone. Priscilla and Minho and all 3 children and Aunt May and grandmother. A vision of family that was slowly becoming real. She gave it to Minho during a visit, watching his face carefully. When he hung it on his refrigerator with reverence, treating it like precious art, she smiled for the first time in his presence. Anthony told everyone at preschool about his daddy who was lost but came back. Priscilla watched her children fall in love with their father and felt her own resistance crumbling. Understanding that forgiveness wasn't a single decision, but a series of choices. Minho proved himself through consistency rather than grand gestures, showing up for doctor's appointments and preschool events and midnight crises. One evening, after a particularly chaotic dinner where Lily spilled juice everywhere and Anthony had a meltdown about bedtime, Minho helped Priscilla clean the kitchen in comfortable silence. They worked around each other with practiced ease, their movements synchronized from months of shared parenting. Priscilla realized this felt like partnership, like family. "Thank you for giving me this chance." Minho's voice was quiet. "Thank you for believing I could change even when I didn't believe in myself." Priscilla looked at him. This man who'd broken her and rebuilt himself, who'd chosen them over everything else. "You earned it. You're earning it every day." The kiss happened gradually this time. Not explosive passion, but tender connection. Minho cupped her face like she was something precious, and Priscilla leaned into it. "I love you." Minho's confession was simple. "I never stopped loving you. I was just too broken to know how to love you the right way. Let me try again. Let me show you I can be what you deserve." Priscilla wanted to protect herself, to remind him of betrayal, to keep walls up for safety, but she was exhausted from fighting. "If we do this, it's forever," she said. "No running when it gets hard. No choosing career over family. Forever or nothing." Forever. Minho's promise was absolute. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving I mean it." They kissed again, deeper this time. 3 years of longing and rage and grief and hope tangled together. The proposal came months later, not in a restaurant or public spectacle, but in Priscilla's kitchen after another chaotic dinner. Minho got on one knee among the mess and chaos, holding a ring that was beautiful but not ostentatious. "Marry me." Not because the children need it, not because it makes sense practically, but because I love you, because you're my home, because I want to spend my life earning your trust and your love. Priscilla looked at this man who destroyed her and rebuilt himself, who'd chosen them over empire. Yes. The wedding was small and intimate, just family and close friends on the beach, where everything had begun to heal. His mother cried throughout the ceremony. May beamed with pride. The triplets served as chaotic wedding party members who stole every moment. Minho adopted all 3 children legally, making official what had become true through time and effort. Chloe Lee, Lily Lee, Anthony Lee. 3 children born from betrayal who became proof that transformation was possible. Priscilla kept her name as Priscilla Estella Lee, a hyphenation that represented her refusal to be absorbed. They bought a house together, merged their lives, became partners and lovers and parents. The children grew up knowing their story, the difficult parts and the healing parts, understanding that their father had failed but chose to become better, that their mother's strength had saved them all. Years later, the ocean stretched endlessly before them, waves catching afternoon sun and transforming water into liquid gold. Priscilla stood with Minho's arm around her waist, watching their 5-year-old triplets play in the surf with fearless joy. Chloe was building an elaborate sand castle, ordering her siblings around with confidence. Lily collected shells with artistic precision, arranging them in patterns only she understood. Anthony chased waves with abandon, shrieking with delight when water caught his feet. "I never thought this was possible." Minho's voice was reverent. "I thought I destroyed any chance at this kind of happiness." Priscilla leaned into him, comfortable in his presence in ways she never imagined feeling again. "You almost did. You came within a breath of losing everything that mattered." "I know." Minho kissed her temple. "Thank you for giving me a chance to be worthy of you. Of them. Thank you for seeing past who I was to who I could become." His mother appeared beside them, her eyes wet watching her grandchildren play. Her transformation from society matron to devoted grandmother complete. "They're beautiful," she said. "You built something extraordinary from very broken pieces." May joined them, her presence solid and comforting. She'd been their anchor through every storm. Anthony ran toward them suddenly, dripping wet and covered in sand, launching himself into Minho's arms with complete confidence that he'd be caught. Minho held him close, pressing kisses to wet curls. Chloe followed, demanding attention, wanting her parents to see her architectural achievement. Lily came last, clutching shells she wanted to show her mother. Priscilla gathered them all close, her heart full enough to hurt, understanding that this moment was what she'd fought for during those desperate early days when she didn't know how she'd survive. "Tell us the story again," Chloe demanded, nestled against Priscilla's side. "The one about when we were born." Priscilla exchanged glances with Minho, seeing the same mix of pain and joy reflected in his eyes. "You were born during a storm," Priscilla began. "The rain was falling so hard it sounded like music. And I was scared because you came early. But you were strong. You're the strongest person in the world," Lily said with certainty. "I had to be," Priscilla kissed her daughter's head. "Because you three were worth being strong for. You were worth everything I gave up, everything I survived, everything I fought through." Minho's arm tightened around her waist, his silent acknowledgement of the pain he'd caused. The children didn't need to know those details yet, but someday they would know the whole story. "I love you," Minho whispered it like prayer. "All of you. Completely. Forever. With everything I am and everything I'm still becoming."
Priscilla looked at him.
This man who'd been her greatest pain and was now her deepest joy. "We love you too. Forever and always through whatever comes next. We're a family. Not because biology made us one, but because we chose each other. Because we built this through blood and tears and refusing to give up." The sun began setting, painting the sky in colors that defied description. Priscilla understood in her bones that this wasn't a fairy tale ending, but a real beginning. There would be hard days ahead, challenges and conflicts and moments when old wounds reopened. But they would face everything together. As partners. As family. The triplets ran back to the water, their voices blending with waves. Priscilla followed, pulling Minho with her. May and his mother joining them. All of them walking into the surf together. She looked back at the beach behind them, at the footprints they'd left in the sand. Evidence of their presence. Proof of their existence. Marks that would be washed away by the tide, but would be made again tomorrow. She thought about the girl who'd walked out of that penthouse office with nothing but heartbreak and determination. Who'd chosen life when erasure would have been easier. Who'd built miracles from devastation. "Thank you." Minho's voice was rough with emotion. "For not giving up on me when I'd already given up on myself. For seeing something worth saving. For teaching me that love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. It's about choosing someone even when they don't deserve it." Priscilla turned to face him fully, water swirling around their legs. "You taught me something too. That forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. That transformation is possible when someone's willing to do the brutal work. That second chances are terrifying and beautiful, and sometimes the bravest thing we can do." They kissed. Soft and sweet and full of promise. While their children played nearby, and the people who loved them watched with tears and smiles. All of them bearing witness to this family that shouldn't exist but does. Born from the worst betrayal and became the most beautiful redemption. This was their proof that transformation was possible. That forgiveness could heal wounds that should have been fatal. That some mistakes became the foundation for something stronger. Not perfect, but real. Not easy, but worth every difficult moment. Not the end, but the beginning of everything that mattered. The waves kept coming, steady and eternal. And Priscilla understood that their love would be like that. Constant through storms and calm alike. Present through devastation and joy. Choosing each other every single day until the last breath left their bodies and beyond. Forever and always. Exactly as they'd promised. Thanks for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for more stories like this.
See you on the next one.